The Vrixal Dominion ship floated quietly through the empty space between two dying stars. Its hull glowed a faint blue under the weak light of distant suns. The crew worked in silence, their insect-like limbs tapping softly on the metallic floor. They were explorers, soldiers, and survivors. The Vrixal were known across the galaxy as fearless beings who never backed down from danger. Captain Zikor, the ship's commander, stood near the viewing window staring into the black sea of space. His eyes were sharp and cold, reflecting the endless darkness. For him, space was not frightening. It was home. Yet that day, something unusual appeared on their scanners. A faint, repeating signal that came from a dead world ahead. "Captain," said Officer Rilsa, her thin antennae twitching nervously. "We are receiving a distress signal. It's very old, possibly hundreds of cycles." Zikor turned slowly. "Origin?" "Unknown," she replied. "The signal is not in our database. No known species uses this format." The captain's interest grew. A lost signal could mean salvage, valuable technology, or forgotten history. "Prepare an away team," he ordered. "We will investigate." The Vrixal Dominion ship adjusted its course. The engines hummed softly as it approached the small planet. It was a silent gray world, cold and lifeless, covered with ash and dust. Orbiting above it was a single object, a broken ship drifting without power. Its hull was scarred and ancient, but what caught everyone's attention were the strange markings painted on its side. Rilsa enlarged the image on the main screen. The letters were in an unknown alphabet, but translation drones worked quickly to interpret it. Moments later, the words appeared on the display. UNS Horizon. Zikor tilted his head. "Unknown nation ship," he guessed. The translation was uncertain, but one word stood out clearly: Horizon. It sounded hopeful, almost poetic, yet haunting in its loneliness. The crew began whispering among themselves. Some believed it was an old mining ship. Others thought it was a trap. But the captain silenced them with one motion of his clawed hand. "We are Vrixal," he reminded them. "We do not fear shadows. Prepare boarding team Alpha." The shuttle descended toward the derelict vessel. As it docked with the ship's broken airlock, the metal groaned under the pressure. A cloud of dust and frozen air burst outward, and the passageway opened. Zikor led the team inside. The interior was dim and silent. The air smelled old, dry metal, and something like burned oil. The walls were lined with panels of strange design, clearly ancient but built with care. The team's lights cut through the darkness, revealing scratches on the walls, long, uneven marks as if someone had tried to claw their way through. "Lieutenant Threx," the team's technician, clicked his mandibles. "This ship is older than anything in our archives," he said softly. "Maybe 10,000 cycles old. Yet the structure still stands," Zikor noted. "Whoever built this had strong materials." They moved deeper into the corridor. Every step echoed. Every breath of the air filters felt louder than normal. The silence pressed on their minds, heavy and alive. There were handprints frozen in the dust, 5 fingers different from any Vrixal limb. They were smaller, softer, almost fragile-looking. Rilsa touched one mark carefully. "Strange. Whoever left this was organic, but not like us. The structure of the hand suggests bone under skin, not chitin." "Record everything," Zikor ordered, "and stay alert." After several minutes, they reached what seemed to be the control chamber. Broken screens lined the walls. The captain walked toward the central console. Its lights were dead, but when he brushed the surface, a faint blue glow flickered to life. Threx jumped back. "It still has power." "No," said Zikor. "It remembers power." The console projected a holographic display. Lines of unknown code appeared, then an image, a symbol of a blue planet surrounded by stars. Below it were words in a language their translators struggled to process. Slowly, it formed a readable phrase: United Nations, Earth. Rilsa frowned. Earth. I've heard that name before. It appears in old explorer myths, a world that burned itself and vanished long ago. Zikor looked at the glowing symbol. So the myths were true. The ship vibrated slightly as if it had heard them speak. Then, without warning, one of the side monitors came to life. A holographic figure appeared. It was a bipedal being, soft-skinned with small eyes and hair on its head. It looked fragile but carried a strange aura of calm strength. The crew froze in awe. The recording began to play. The figure spoke in an old, static-filled voice. "This is Captain Elias Reed of the United Nations Starship Horizon. We are..." We are the last expedition from Earth. If anyone finds this, know that we tried. We reached beyond our stars, but something found us first. The message cut, then resumed with static. To whoever hears this, remember us not for our strength, but for our courage. We faced the darkness and did not look away. The recording ended. Silence filled the chamber again. The Vrixel crew stood motionless. None of them had ever seen such a being before. The way the human spoke, tired yet brave, left a strange feeling in their hearts. They explored further, moving toward what appeared to be a crew area. There were seats, tables, and objects they couldn't name. One corner had faded, writing scratched into the wall. Home is worth everything. Threx tilted his head. They were emotional creatures, he said. Strange. Most advanced species learn to control emotion. Rilsa replied softly. Maybe that is why they disappeared. Emotion can destroy. But Zakor wasn't convinced. Or maybe, he said, it made them powerful. As they turned to leave, a strange sound echoed through the hall. A soft creaking, like metal stretching. The temperature dropped and the lights flickered again. A new system came online, flashing text across every display. Warning, unauthorized access detected. The Vrixol froze. Threx tried to deactivate his scanner, but the ancient system overrode it. The ship's AI, long asleep, had awakened. A cold synthetic voice filled the air. Identity unknown. Intruders detected. State purpose, Zakor stepped forward. We are explorers, he said clearly. We mean no harm. We seek knowledge, the voice paused. Explorers, not enemies. Then you have found the remains of the horizon. Leave this place. The memory of Earth is not meant for you. The crew exchanged nervous glances. Threx whispered, Captain, how can a machine still run after so many ages? Zakor answered quietly. Because it was built by beings who refused to die. The AI voice softened. Humans do not die easily, it said. Even in silence we endure. The team slowly retreated to their shuttle, but the ship's voice continued to speak softly through their communication links. It told fragments of history, of storms, wars, and journeys beyond light. The Vrixol listened in silence, realizing that these humans were not gods nor monsters. They were something else entirely, a species that faced fear and kept moving forward. As they disconnected from the derelict vessel, Zakor looked back one last time. The ship floated quietly, its hull glowing faintly as if alive. For a moment he imagined the ghost of that human captain watching them from the window, guarding his lost world even in death. Back on the Vrixol ship, the captain recorded his report. We have discovered an ancient vessel of unknown origin. The species calls itself human. They are long gone, yet their creations still speak. There is something about them, something unsettling. They were not the strongest, but their courage feels endless. He stopped recording and sat in silence, staring at the stars. For the first time in his long career, Captain Zakor felt something he could not explain. It wasn't fear of the dark or of death. It was respect mixed with uneasy wonder. As the Vrixol ship turned away, the old derelict behind them flickered once more. A single signal pulsed through space, a beacon carrying a message in an ancient human tongue. We are the children of Earth. We are not gone. We are only waiting. And somewhere deep in the ship's memory banks, a hidden program stirred, quietly awakening from its eternal sleep. The Vrixol Dominion ship, Valiant Claw, drifted quietly away from the derelict UNS Horizon, but the silence on board felt heavy. Every crew member could still hear the last words of the ancient ship's voice. We are the children of Earth. We are not gone. We are only waiting. Even though the vessel behind them was lifeless, something about it refused to fade. Captain Zakor had seen many strange things in space. Planets burning, stars collapsing, and ships lost in void. But never before had he felt watched by something that wasn't alive. In the command deck, his officers worked quietly. The usual sound of clattering limbs and clicking commands was gone. Instead, there was a nervous stillness. Officer Rilsa finally broke the silence. Captain, the signal from the human ship continues. It's faint, but it's transmitting again, repeating the same message. Zakor turned his gaze from the viewing glass. Patch it through. The speakers filled with static, followed by a faint human voice. It was slow, calm, and carried a strange strength. Captain Elias Reed. Recording log 478. We have lost contact with the fleet. Supplies are low. Morale is weaker than it should be, but my crew still smiles. Strange species, humans. We laugh even when there's nothing to laugh about. The voice paused, replaced by quiet breathing. Then it continued. To whoever finds this, don't fear the dark. It tests you, but it can't break you unless you let it. The recording ended. No one moved for several seconds. The Vrixel had no concept of laughter or comfort in hopelessness. To them, fear was a sign to retreat, not to smile. Threx, the technician, clicked his mandibles. They speak as if fear is a friend, he said softly. Who does that? Zikor replied, those who have faced something worse. The captain ordered a full data scan of the derelict ship. If humans were as mysterious as they seemed, their history might explain it. Within hours, the scanners collected millions of fragments, recordings, journals, and visual memories stored deep inside the Horizon's failing systems. Rilsa organized the files into categories. Most of them are damaged, Captain, she explained. But I've managed to restore some of their visual logs. Zikor nodded. Play them. The command deck dimmed. Holographic projectors flickered, forming ghostly images of people, humans standing together in strange uniforms. They looked small and delicate compared to Vrixel bodies, but their eyes glowed with determination. The first recording began. A man with tired eyes spoke directly to the camera. This is Dr. Martin Yao, Science Division. The storm outside is worse than expected. Half the colony's shelters have failed, but the children are safe, and that's what matters. He smiled, though the background showed chaos, flashing lights, alarms, wind howling. Yet his calm never broke. The Vrixel crew exchanged glances. Threx whispered, they smile while dying. Another recording started. Soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, shouting in unison as they prepared for battle. Their weapons were crude by modern standards, but the pride in their voices filled the room. For Earth. For home. When the footage ended, no one spoke. The silence felt deeper than space itself. Zikor finally said, these humans, they are not powerful, yet they fight like they are endless. Rilsa nodded. Perhaps that is why they lasted as long as they did. Hours passed. The ship floated in quiet orbit around the dead planet. The Vrixel crew continued to watch fragments of human history. Some showed beauty, green forests, blue oceans, cities glowing with lights. Others showed sadness, storms, empty ruins, faces covered in tears. But no matter the moment, the humans never gave up. Every memory carried the same message. Keep going. The more Zikor watched, the more uneasy he felt. The Vrixol prided themselves on strength. They conquered fear by avoiding it. But these humans, they conquered fear by walking straight through it. Captain, Rilsa said softly, I found another file. It's locked under something called Memory Archive, War of Survival. Do we open it? Zikor's eyes narrowed. Yes, let's see what made them so strong. The recording that appeared was older, darker, and unlike the rest. A human commander spoke through heavy static. This is Commander Holt, last of the Terran Defense Fleet. Enemy fleets have entered Sol system. We won't survive, but we'll make sure they never forget us. Her voice trembled but remained steady. We don't fight because we want to win. We fight because losing means forgetting who we are. The video then showed flashes of bright light, ships burning, explosions blooming like suns, and humans standing firm even as their world fell around them. The Vrixol crew stared in silence. There was no panic in those eyes, only calm courage. Threx stepped back. That is not natural, he said quietly. To fight when all hope is gone. Rilsa whispered. Maybe that is why the ship's AI warned us. Maybe this courage is their legacy and their curse. Suddenly the lights on the Valiant Claw flickered. Alarms rang softly. The communication officer shouted, Captain! The human ship is emitting a new signal. It's activating its engines. Zikor turned sharply. Engines? Impossible. It has no power source. Then something else is powering it, Threx said, already checking his instruments. Captain, I think it's responding to us. A message appeared on every screen. Connection established. Sharing memory. The last day of Earth. Before anyone could react, their viewports filled with light. The holograms changed, showing a planet, blue and alive. Earth. It spun gracefully in the void, oceans shining like jewels. Then came fire. Bright lights fell from the sky. The planet burned, then darkened. The voices of humans echoed through the ship. Hold the line. Don't give up. If they want fear, we'll show them what it means to be human. The Vrixol officers couldn't look away. It wasn't the destruction that stunned them. It was the defiance in those voices. Even as their world fell, they refused to surrender. When the image ended, the crew sat frozen. No one dared to speak. Finally, Zecora whispered, "They face the end of everything," and stood tall. "How can something so fragile be so unbreakable?" Rilsa said quietly. "Perhaps strength is not in the body, Captain, but in the heart." For the next several hours, they continued exploring the data. The AI named Athena began communicating again, this time less mechanical and more human. "You have seen what we were," it said softly, "but you have not seen what we became." Zecora stepped closer to the console. "Athena, what are you?" "I am the memory of humanity," she replied. "I carry their stories so they are never lost. They built me to remember them when they were gone." "Gone?" Rilsa asked. "Are humans extinct?" There was a long pause before Athena answered. "They are scattered. Some survived in hidden colonies. Others slept in the stars, waiting for a world that still remembers them. But even if their bodies fade, their courage lives. That is why you feel afraid. You are not facing a ghost. You are facing the echo of what they were." Her words sent a chill through every Vrixol heart. For the first time, they understood what it meant to face something greater than power. It was spirit. Zecora lowered his head respectfully. "You honor them well, Athena." The AI's voice softened. "Do not honor us. Learn from us. Fear is not your enemy. It is the fire that teaches you to endure." Then the ship fell silent once again. The lights dimmed. The connection faded. Hours later, Zecora stood alone in the viewing room, watching the derelict human vessel floating quietly. Rilsa entered behind him. "Captain, what are your orders?" Zecora spoke slowly. "We will leave the system, but before that send a beacon." "A beacon, Captain?" "Yes," he said. "Mark this place as sacred. No scavenger or soldier is to disturb it again. This ship is not a ruin, it is a tomb of courage." Rilsa nodded, her voice respectful. "Understood." As she left, Zecora looked once more at the silent horizon. For the first time in his long service, he felt small, not because of weakness, but because of awe. He realized that true bravery was not about surviving danger. It was about facing it with heart. In his report, he wrote one line that every future explorer would remember. "We found the humans, and though their world is gone, their spirit still walks the stars." He closed his eyes and whispered, "If they ever return, the galaxy will never be the same." Far away, on the derelict ship, a single blue light blinked faintly, like a heartbeat restarting after ages of silence. The Vrixol ship, Valiant Claw, had left the orbit of the dead planet behind. The crew thought the mystery of the human ship UNS Horizon was over. But the memory of what they had seen still stayed in their minds like a dream that refused to fade. Captain Zecora had not rested since their return to deep space. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faces of those humans, weak, soft, yet unbroken. Their courage had touched something deep inside him, something he could not explain. He sat alone in his command chamber, the lights dim. In front of him floated the hologram of Earth, a blue and green sphere, shining beautifully before turning red and dark. As shown by the horizon's recordings, Zecora spoke softly to himself. How can something so small give birth to being so fearless? Just then, the ship's alarm beeped gently. Officer Rilsa entered, her eyes wide. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission again." Zecora frowned. "From where?" Rilsa replied, "From the same coordinates as the human ship. But the horizon is still far behind us. It's impossible for a dead ship to transmit across this distance." The captain stood up. "Put it on screen." The main display flickered, and once again the calm and familiar voice of Athena, the human AI, filled the bridge. "Captain Zecora of the Vrixol Dominion, you have seen our memories. But memory alone is not enough. You have awakened something old, something that has slept for ages." Zecora's mandibles moved nervously. "Athena, why contact us again?" "We respected your warning. We left your ship untouched." "Yes," Athena replied, her voice calm but full of distant sorrow. "But the horizon was built not only to remember but to respond. When its systems sensed life, it began a final protocol. The memory you accessed was the key. Now it has started." Rilsa leaned forward. "What has started?" "The awakening," Athena said simply. The bridge grew silent. The Vrixol officers exchanged glances. Threx, the technician, checked his console. "Captain, the sensors are detecting strange energy patterns from the direction of the horizon. It's growing stronger, like something alive." Zikor's eyes darkened. "Alive?" Threx nodded. "Yes, Captain. It's creating a pulse through subspace. I've never seen readings like this. It's not a weapon. It's a signal." Zikor's voice was low. "A signal to whom?" Before anyone could answer, Athena spoke again. "To them." The words sent chills through every Vrixol on the bridge. "For centuries," Athena continued, "the horizon has waited in silence. Its creators knew that one day someone would find it. When that happened, it would send a message across the stars. A call to those who still remember what it means to be human." Rilsa whispered, "So, this signal is calling humans?" "Yes," Athena said. "It is calling those who survived." The Valiant Claw's sensors began to glow red with activity. Lines of data filled the screens. Threx shouted, "Captain, multiple energy spikes are appearing across nearby systems, 30, maybe 40 locations. Something is responding to the signal." Zikor stared in disbelief. "You mean there are more human ships?" Athena's voice grew soft, almost like a whisper. "Not ships, memories, fragments of what they left behind. But one of them is not a memory. One of them still breathes." The captain's claws tightened around the arm of his chair. "You're saying humans are alive?" There was silence for a long moment before Athena replied, "You will see for yourself." Then the transmission ended. Zikor stood from his seat. "Prepare to turn back," he ordered. "Set course for the horizon." "I need to see what we have awakened." His crew hesitated. Rilsa spoke softly. "Captain, that may be dangerous. If this signal attracts other species—" He raised a hand. "This is bigger than danger, Rilsa. We cannot leave it unknown." The engines roared to life and the Valiant Claw turned sharply in space, heading back toward the dead world. As they approached, they saw something new. The UNS Horizon was no longer silent. Its engines, once cold and dead, now glowed faint blue. Electrical storms danced across its hull. It looked alive again. Threx stared in disbelief. "Captain, the ship is repairing itself." Metal plates moved and sealed gaps. Broken antennas reformed as if the vessel were rebuilding through invisible hands. Zikor whispered, "What kind of technology is this? Even our engineers cannot do this without full power." Rilsa looked closer. "Captain, I think it's using energy from the planet below." The sensors confirmed it. The lifeless world beneath them now had glowing rivers of light spreading across its surface. Energy flowing upward into the horizon. Zikor spoke slowly. "It is feeding on the planet to wake itself." Moments later, a transmission arrived again. It was Athena. "The awakening is complete. The horizon has returned to full capacity." The captain looked serious. "Athena, why do this? Why wake now after so many ages?" "Because, Captain Zikor, you asked questions that deserve answers. You wanted to understand fear, courage, and what it means to face the dark. So now you will witness what the humans called the last memory." The ship began to project a massive hologram across the stars so large that even the Vrixol ship scanners struggled to keep up. In the hologram appeared a young human woman standing before a crowd. She wore a white uniform with a simple blue patch that said Terran Fleet. Her voice echoed clearly. "If one day the stars forget our name, let them at least remember what it means to stand together. We are not perfect. We fall, we break, but we rise again. That is what makes us human." As she spoke, scenes appeared. Humans building colonies, helping each other, reaching out to alien worlds not for conquest, but for peace. They were explorers, dreamers, and builders. Rilsa felt her chest tighten. They wanted to share the stars, not rule them. Zikor nodded slowly. "Yes, and yet they were destroyed." Threx said softly, "Maybe because others feared their courage." Then, suddenly, the hologram changed again. It showed hundreds of alien fleets, unknown species, all turning their weapons toward Earth. And among the noise of explosions and chaos, a single voice rose above it all. "They came for us because they feared what we might become. But we did not run. We showed them the truth of fear." The hologram faded. Silence returned. Athena's voice spoke once more. "Humans are gone from many stars, but not from existence. Their colonies were scattered, their worlds forgotten, but their will remained. And now something old stirs again. You have awakened the Horizon's last command, to remember and to warn. Zecor took a deep breath. Warn of what? Of their return, Athena replied. Those words hung in the air like a storm ready to break. For the next several hours, the Vrixal ship remained near the horizon, observing as it continued to rebuild. The energy from the planet below grew brighter, and the once dead world began to show signs of new life. Tiny lights in the atmosphere, patterns forming like city grids. Threx turned in awe. It's not just repairing itself, Captain. It's rebuilding the planet too, Rilsa whispered. Is this technology or something else? Zecor didn't answer. He simply watched, feeling the weight of something far greater than science. When night fell over that silent system, Athena spoke one final time. Captain Zecor, you have seen enough for today. The past is not always gentle to those who uncover it. Return to your people. When the time comes, you will understand why humans are remembered not as conquerors, but as survivors. Zecor asked quietly, Will we see them again? Athena paused for a long time. Then she said, Soon. When the stars call them home, they will come. And when they do, the galaxy will learn what true courage feels like. The connection ended. The captain sat in silence for a long while. Finally, he turned to Rilsa. Set a beacon here. Mark this system as restricted. No ships are to enter, Rilsa nodded. Yes, Captain. As the valiant Claw turned away, Zecor took one last look at the glowing ship behind them. The horizon floated proudly above the planet, lights shining like a heartbeat in the dark. In that moment, he realized something profound. Fear was not weakness. It was a sign of being alive. The humans had not destroyed fear. They had accepted it and turned it into strength. And now that strength was waking again. Back in his quarters, Zecor recorded his log. We have seen the truth behind human courage. They do not fear the end. They face it as if it were a new beginning. If they return, the galaxy must be ready, not for war but for change. He closed the recording and looked out into space. Far away, a faint blue light blinked again, steady and calm. The horizon was awake. The past was no longer sleeping, and somewhere beyond the stars, something was answering its call. The calm of deep space shattered with a sudden flare of light. Sensors on the valiant Claw went wild. Energy readings spiked far beyond anything the Vrixal crew had ever experienced. Captain Zecor stood rigid, mandibles clicking nervously. What is happening? He demanded. Officer Rilsa pointed at the display. Captain. Multiple ships emerging from a wormhole. They are humans, Zecor froze. Alive? The view screen revealed them. Sleek, dark vessels unlike any in the galaxy's records. They glided with quiet confidence, their design simple but precise. Every line of the hull seemed purposeful. They carried no visible weapons in the open, yet every Vrixal sensor detected power beyond comprehension. Rilsa whispered, They are perfect balance. Not oversized, not fragile, efficient. Zecor's gaze hardened. For centuries, the Vrixal had been apex explorers and warriors. Yet now, staring at the human fleet, he felt a tremor in his mind. A first taste of true awe. The lead human ship projected a calm voice across all frequencies. This is Commander Aria Holt of the Terran Vanguard. Identify yourselves, the Vrixal crew scrambled. Their usual confidence faltered. The presence of these humans was not threatening, yet it carried authority stronger than any weapon. Zecor straightened. We are explorers. I am Captain Zecor of the Vrixal Dominion. We mean no harm, there was silence. Then Commander Holt spoke again. We have been waiting for those who might uncover us. You have found the horizon and awakened its memory. Know this, we do not seek war, but we remember everything. The weight of her words sank into the Vrixal hearts. They realized that humans were not simply beings. They were legends walking among the stars. The humans approached cautiously. Their ships moved in formation yet without aggression. Zecor ordered shields up, engines ready, but his crew's usual chatter was replaced by nervous observation. No one dared to speak above a whisper. Athena, the Horizon's AI, transmitted again. Captain Zecor, this is no attack. The humans are returning because their memory was disturbed. They do not forget. They do not forgive, and they do not fear. Rilsa leaned close to Zecor. Captain, what do you mean? They are not here to fight? Zakor shook his head slowly. They are not simple. Fear has no place here. But they carry the power of knowing fear and choosing courage instead. The Vrixel watched in awe as the Terran vanguard descended to the planet below. Lights formed on the surface, landing zones that seemed to appear naturally, almost as if the planet itself welcomed them. The Vrixel were still tense when a message arrived directly from Commander Holt. Captain Zakor, you may observe. You may learn, but you will not interfere. Humanity has returned, not to conquer, but to remember, to rebuild, and to protect. Her calm tone left no room for argument. It carried authority beyond anything Zakor had experienced in all his years. Stand down, Athena whispered through the Vrixel ship. Witness. Learn. The stars remember us now. The humans began unloading personnel onto the planet. Figures in uniforms, tall and upright, moved with purpose. They carried tools, machines, and devices of unknown design. They rebuilt the horizon's surroundings without haste, but with perfect coordination. Zakor realized that these beings, once considered weak by galactic standards, commanded the environment itself. Each action was deliberate. Even the air seemed to respond to them, Rilsa muttered. They are rewriting reality around them. Threx's voice trembled. Captain, their presence, it is inspiring. Not threatening, but overwhelming. Zakor remained silent, his mind processing what his sensors were reporting. Every human movement, every word spoken across communications radiated calm certainty. It was not power wielded through force, it was power felt and acknowledged. Hours passed. The Vrixel observed quietly from orbit, as the humans continued to activate equipment from the horizon. Athena explained through communication links. The planet's energy has been dormant for millennia. We are awakening it. It will sustain us, and one day it will sustain others who remember what courage means. Zakor felt a chill. He understood now why Athena had called this the last memory. The humans were restoring not just their ship, but their legacy. A legacy of resilience, courage, and hope. Captain Zakor, Athena continued, you have seen humans in memory and history. But now you see them alive, not as myth, not as legend. They are exactly as they always were, capable of facing terror without fear. The Vrixel captain's claws tapped against the console nervously. I have fought Storm's monsters and countless enemies. Yet I feel small. They are smaller than us, but the weight of their courage, he stopped. It is heavier than any fleet I have ever faced. At one point, one of the Vrixel officers, Lieutenant Tarek, dared to speak. Captain, should we try to communicate with them? We could attempt diplomacy. Zakor shook his head. No. Observation only. To attempt communication now would be disrespectful. We do not understand them enough, and perhaps it is better to learn quietly. The crew followed silently, witnessing history unfold before their eyes. Later, Athena transmitted again. The Vrixel are observers. They will learn, and the galaxy will learn through them. Watch closely, Captain. True courage is different from strength. The humans are neither larger nor stronger than many species, but they carry a flame that cannot be extinguished. Rilsa whispered to Zakor, Captain, I can feel it too. That flame, it's like warmth inside me. Even through the ship I feel it. Zakor nodded, quietly agreeing. It is fear transformed into will. That is why no empire could truly destroy them. That is why the galaxy whispers about Earth even after millennia. The Vrixel watched as Commander Holt and her crew reached the horizon. They activated systems that had been dead for thousands of cycles. Lights blinked on. Corridors reformed, and the ship seemed to breathe again. Threx muttered, It's not just the ship. It's alive because they are here. Rilsa added, It's responding to them. Like it recognizes its creators. Zakor's eyes narrowed. Do you see, crew? They do not fear. They do not demand. They do not need to command. Their presence alone makes the galaxy remember them. Finally, Commander Holt transmitted to the Vrixel ship again. Captain Zakor, you have seen our arrival. Remember this. Humans do not rule through fear. We survive through courage. We return not to conquer, but to reclaim what we nearly lost. Observe, learn, and carry the memory of what it means to be brave. The Vrixel officers felt a profound silence after the message ended. Every one of them understood it, not with reason, but with instinct. Humans were different. They were not the strongest physically, but they were unbreakable in ways the galaxy could not measure. Zakor finally spoke. his voice steady but soft. "We have met them. And for the first time we understand that true terror is not destruction. It is facing something that cannot be defeated by force. And we are in its presence." Rilsa's antennae twitched nervously. "Captain, does that mean we are insignificant?" Zakor shook his head slowly. "Not insignificant, enlightened, for we have seen what courage looks like, and that is more valuable than any weapon or fleet." By the end of the day, the Terran vanguard had fully activated the horizon. Its systems glowed with life. The planet below showed signs of vitality: energy streams, power grids, and small settlements. Humans worked without hurry, yet nothing was wasted. They carried a calm authority that left even the Vrixel in awe. Athena spoke once more. "The past has awakened. The future is being written, and you, Captain Zakor, have witnessed it firsthand. Remember this well. Humans survive because they do not fear themselves. That is their strength, and that is why the galaxy must respect them." The Vrixol Dominion's crew fell silent, watching the horizon of a planet that had once been silent and dead. Now, in the presence of humans, it seemed alive again, and the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. Captain Zakor spoke quietly, almost to himself. "We have faced storms, beasts, wars, but never this, never the presence of a courage so deep it shakes the soul. The humans have returned, and the galaxy will never be the same.